Next, we had Sin Cara in the ring. Sin Cara was preparing for one-on-one action against somebody, and we knew it was going to be somebody from Raw, and one of the biggest names that I was hoping would make the jump showed up. Samoa Joe. There he is. That's exactly where he needs to be. Samoa Joe showing up on SmackDown, getting in the ring, beating the shit out of Sin Cara, and winning the match, and then cutting a promo about how SmackDown is screwed now that he's there. He said that people call SmackDown the land of opportunity. He calls it the land of handouts. And these people are going to find out how tough they really are now that he's there. And when I think of Samoa Joe there with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan and Shinsuke Nakamura and that great core talent that they have there, that's a hell of a fucking roster. And the possibilities now are endless. Provided Joe can stay healthy, he can have some great matches with AJ Styles, rekindling old TNA rivalries. You've got Shinsuke Nakamura there now, who's doing a great job as a heel. Daniel Bryan is back on the roster. I mean, SmackDown can be a really fun show now. The big wild card in all of this, however, is the creative side of things. SmackDown hasn't been that good in the past few months. SmackDown's been getting a lot of shit from the fans. There's been a lot of fire road dog campaigns, and the fans, you know, they haven't been too enamored with SmackDown. So I'm of the belief that this talent is going to help, but you can have all the great talent in the world. If you don't have a good director, it's like a movie. You know, you can have all the best actors in the world, but if your director sucks, then the movie's going to suck. So hopefully WWE recognizes the talent that they have here, and when it comes to the internet audience, when it comes to the smart fans and the dirt sheet guys and the smarks and all those type of people, this group of talent on SmackDown is very, very appealing to them. So my plea to WWE is make us happy. Give us some great matches. Give us some great feuds, rivalries, and breathe some life into this brand. And I think they're off to a good start. I'm very happy with the moves that SmackDown made. And speaking of NXT talent, Sanity isn't the only ones making their way to the SmackDown Live roster. Andrade Cien Almas will be showing up as well, I believe, next week, and he'll have Zelina Vega in tow, and that's great. I'm really happy that they made the jump with him. I knew that they would once he dropped the belt and he appeared in the Royal Rumble. To me, it seemed pretty obvious that he'll be making the jump to the main roster. SmackDown's a good spot for him as well, because there's already a lot of good talent on SmackDown, and this guy can have great matches, and I think he can be the replacement for Alberto Del Rio. He can be a much better version. And I'm glad that he's there, and I think it's an awesome upgrade from Alberto Del Fuckface that we had to deal with for so many years. So welcome to SmackDown, Andrade Cien Almas. In addition to that, I believe we had some other announcements as well on SmackDown as far as who's coming over on social media. Raw had a bunch with, Zack Ryder and Kanellis and guys like that, but they also made some announcements like that for SmackDown as well. Now we're getting Gallows and Anderson making the jump as well. I was really happy to see that. I was also really hoping to see Finn Balor show up on SmackDown. I thought that would have been a nice final piece of talent to throw into that mix there. Plus you would have, the Bullet Club. You'd have Gallows and Anderson and AJ and Balor all on the same roster. That would be incredible. And speaking of Bullet Club, yes, I did hear Corey Graves accidentally blurt out Bullet Club. What did he say? Bullet Club is for everybody on Monday Night Raw, and Michael Cole had to quickly correct him. That was hilarious. A lot of people think that Corey Graves is going to get in trouble. You can't really get in trouble for a slip of the tongue. Corey Graves didn't do that on purpose. It was just a mental lapse. There should be no repercussions for that, but I thought it was awesome and hilarious, and I know the wrestling world popped and Twitter damn near exploded when Corey Graves said that. So that was really funny on Monday Night Raw. But now you got Gallows and Anderson moving over to SmackDown. That's a good move for them. They are completely stagnant on Monday Night Raw. They're not doing shit. So if you put them on SmackDown and now they're with AJ again, who knows, maybe the three of them can beat up John Cena one day. In addition to Gallows and Anderson, we also have the Absolution Girls making the jump. That seemed kind of obvious. I didn't think they would keep Absolution and Riot Squad on the same show. So they moved Mandy Rose and DeVille over to SmackDown. Now, the big story here is that Paige is the GM. So what is their relationship going to be? I'm almost thinking they have to maybe separate Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. We saw on Raw they were still coming out to Paige's theme song. These two girls don't even have theme music yet. So I'm almost thinking you need to move them on their separate ways, because if not, then it's going to be a conflict of interest with the GM, since Paige headed up that group up until a week ago. So it should be kind of interesting how they address all of that, I suppose, and I guess we'll find out next week. And then other than that, the only other one I have written down, I believe, is R-Truth, was also announced to be moving over to SmackDown. I forgot R-Truth was even around. Don't even know where he's been. So just to kind of recap the shakeup, and I might be missing some people, so you guys let me know if I've left anybody out here. But in this year's shakeup, we saw Raw score Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, the Riot Squad, Natalya, Breezango, The Ascension, Zack Ryder, Mojo Rawley, Chad Gable, and Mike Kanellis. You combine that with all of the debuts that Raw had last week with the Authors of Pain, No Way Jose, Ember Moon, Jeff Hardy, and Bobby Lashley. Wow. Raw is stacked. Now, Jeff Hardy, of course, has left already, but that's a lot of new faces. That's a lot of new talent injected into Monday Night Raw in just a 2-week period there. And then over on SmackDown, they, of course, are getting The Miz. They've got Asuka, Samoa Joe, Jeff Hardy, The Bar, Andrade Cien Almas, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, Sanity, R-Truth, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Big Cass. And when you combine that with their debuts last week of the Iconic Duo and others, that's a pretty good SmackDown roster as well. So I think both rosters fared very well. I would have really liked to see Seth Rollins make the jump to SmackDown or Finn Balor or both. I was really hoping that SmackDown could add one more guy to really round out that ridiculous core talent of AJ, Shinsuke, D-Bry, Samoa Joe. You throw a Finn Balor in there or a Seth Rollins in there, and wow, you got yourself one hell of a roster over there on that brand. So I was kind of hoping that SmackDown would get one more guy. But they didn't, but in the end, I'm still okay with it. I still think SmackDown did very well, and I still think Raw did very well. So from what I've seen from all of you on social media, most of you agree with me. A lot of people think that this shakeup was a very successful one, and WWE really didn't let us down. Aside from a few people here or there that we would have liked to see move, for the most part, I think the shakeup was a successful one. The only thing that makes it a little bit weird is all these matches that we have advertised for the Greatest Royal Rumble and Backlash is kind of confusing things because we're really not going to know, until a couple more weeks when all of the dust settles where everybody will finally officially land.